Hey guys, this is Communications, and welcome to my review of Deliver Us from Evil, a 2014 film directed by Scott Derrickson. Yes, the same guy who directed Sinister, which I find to be an overrated horror film, which I really personally did not care for. A movie that I thought sucked ass. But I was really surprised by this film. I saw the trailer for it, and I saw pictures for it, and I saw that at least there were some practical effects that were being used, and the trailer looked like it might be, I don't know, worth one watch, but it didn't look like it was going to be anything special. But I watched it recently, and I loved this movie. I really enjoyed it, so much so that this won't be full of spoilers. I really don't want to give it away. I don't want to. Maybe maybe a year later when I re-review this after, it's been out in DVD for a while, Blu-ray for a while, I might do a spoiler-filled review, but I really don't want to because I really like this film and personally think it's one of the more underrated movies of the year. I don't think it deserved to make only $9 million in the box office. Um, don't let some of the reviews deter you from giving it a look. Some of the reviews have been saying it's derivative, it's cliche, it's this or that. Um, I thought the film was not any of those things. I thought, yes, it might have been a bit derivative. Yes, it might have been a bit cliche, I guess. But then again, I don't think so, because how many movies can you think of off the top of your head, especially recently, that have a male as the lead in a horror film? I'll give you a little bit for that one. How many? How many? Majority of them are female lead because I want to follow really, follow aliens and aliens, in the movie Aliens footsteps. So it was refreshing to see a male lead in a horror film. Yeah, Sinister had a male lead. Yeah, it did. But Eric Bana was 10 times better than Ethan Hawke because Ethan Hawke was a total douchebag in that movie, in my opinion. So moving his parents, not his parents, nothing to do with his parents, moving his family into a murder house, really, dude? Not, not really putting your family's best interests at heart, now are you? Now here, though, Eric Bana plays a cop. Um, who this is loosely based on a book by a cop who's played by Ralph Sarchie, and Eric Bana plays a character named Ralph Sarchie in this, an NYPD police sergeant. And the book was called Beware the Night, and it was Ralph Sarchie talking about his real experiences on the beat as a cop, and how there's some supernatural elements that he's experienced while he was on the beat. But the actual film itself, though, is not really based on a true story. So, yes, the advertisements say based on a true story. Well, it's full of shit because really the screenplay is a completely original storyline that was written by Scott Derrickson and Paul Harris Boardman, and it was that centers around the character of Ralph Sarchie. And so I just want to get that out there. It's not a 100% original movie in terms of the fact that it's based on a true story. It's not based on a true story. It's very loosely based on a true story, like most movies that are based on true stories are. Really, they should have air quotes over whenever they say that, based on a true story. But didn't affect my enjoyment of the film, to be honest. Interestingly enough, Eric Bana was not the first choice to play Ralph Sarchie in this film. It was actually Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, Marky Mark and his Funky Bunch. I'm glad Eric Bana got the role. I'm glad Mark Wahlberg turned down the role because I really probably wouldn't like the film as much as I do if Marky Mark was the lead. I think he's an incredibly overrated actor who only has one performance in him. It's the same performance he's done in every movie. He doesn't have a range as an actor. It's the same thing over and over again. I don't know why he keeps getting jobs, especially in dramas or especially in I don't I mean playing that he could be in the Transformers movie, fine, or we can I liked him in Pain and Gain, but he was not really acting. He was just being himself. So when he tries to go above and beyond, I really am not impressed. I wasn't impressed with The Departed. I completely disagree that that was an Oscar-worthy nomination performance. I don't think he deserved an Oscar nod for that performance. But, if people do, that's fine. People find Marky Mark to be a great actor, to each their own. I don't. So I don't understand why this guy keeps getting so many roles. But maybe it's because he's just good looking. That's it. It has to be it. But Eric Bana is also an actor I wasn't really the biggest fan of either. So him delivering this really excellent performance really surprised me. It was another big surprise of the film for me. Same goes for the supporting cast, especially Joel McHale. Joel McHale, the host of the not the True Hollywood Story, the host of the Entertainment Network, the E Network's Soup, TV show. It was also, of course, he was also on Community, and I believe it's Community. I could be wrong. Could be. I don't think it's Parks and Rec. So it's Community. He's on Community, and I've only seen a couple episodes of Community, but I'm really familiar with the Soup, and I enjoy him as a host on that show. And to see him play this, you know, laid back partner to Eric Bana was really nice to see, and I thought he really pulled it off. I thought he did a great job in the film as the character as Butler, Ralph's partner, a tough, experienced cop. I thought he did a great job. He did a really good job with the knife the knife fight near the end of the film too. I thought he did an excellent job with that. Actually, it's because he spent months training with knives and martial arts in order to do his own knife stunts in the movie. He managed to go through months of training as well as most of filming without a single injury. But however, during one of the last days of filming, his son was visiting on set, and McHale used his knife to cut a piece of white chocolate for him, and then he cut his hand and then bled profusely. So that's pretty crazy, I thought, a little bit, sort of interesting sort of, moment there. A little bit of backstory of the film. He trained and did a great job, not one scratch, but then he was cutting some chocolate for a kid and just bled everywhere. But Joel McHale, I thought he did a great job. He was a very entertaining character. He was a lot of fun to watch. He and Eric Bana had great chemistry. They had some really fun lines of dialogue. It really added to the enjoyment of the film because there were really fun moments of levity that were going along with this really dark, sort of, sinister, dark horror elements that were present in the film. I would look at the movie, as one critic called it, a combination of Seven and The Exorcist. I agree with that. It's like Seven meets The Exorcist. It's got that same gritty cinematography, that same gritty look that Seven had, but then it adds a supernatural element on top of that. And I thought they blended beautifully together with this film. Another aspect I really loved about this movie was the score by Christopher Young. Christopher Young just knocks it out of the park almost every single time he does a score. He's one of the best composers out there. And not only that, the movie used a song by Moby, which I thought was beautifully used. It's an instrumental song by Moby called "When It's Cold, I'd Like to Die," and they used it at the end of the film to wonderful effect. It was an absolutely gorgeous sequence of events, especially a gorgeous piece of music, and it was really, really well used in the sequence at the end of the film. If you see the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You will know what I'm talking about if you see it or if you've already seen it. So yeah, great use of the score, great use of the music. It was subtle when it needed to be, but creepy and also moody when it needed to be as well. It wasn't completely forgettable. It really did work with the film. I thought the direction by Scott Derrickson was the best I've seen him do. I thought it was a lot better than Sinister. And I know Sinister got better reviews and so forth, but I thought this was creepier. I thought this personally scared me more than Sinister did. And I thought it was a lot more, I thought it was a better film. I thought it was honestly a 10 times better movie than Sinister was, personally. And it really made me have some faith for Scott Derrickson and his Doctor Strange film that he's working on for Marvel. So yeah, I mean, the whole cast, Edgar Ramirez, I thought did a really good job as the priest in this film, he plays Mendoza, a Spanish priest who teams up with Ralph and helps him fight, this demonic presence that's in the film. And I really liked his performance. I liked how unique it was. He was a priest who smokes and drinks. It wasn't, that added an extra element to his character. But that was a great performance too. Olivia Munn did a solid job too as Ralph's wife, Jen Sarchie. She's gorgeous as always. I mean, Olivia Munn is one hot woman. And so there's Sean Harris who plays Santino, a soldier who ends up being possessed by the devil in the film, who ends up targeting Ralph. I thought Sean Harris did a really good job performance-wise as well. Valentina Rendon as Claudia, I thought she did a good job too. Um, I thought majority of there's a lot of great moments in this film. There's a really creepy, atmospheric, tense scene in a zoo. There's a great use of Doors music as it actually made the Doors music creepy. It actually used in an exorcism scene. It used music. I've never seen that before. I've never seen a film in an exorcism scene where it actually used actual music, actual songs, in parts of the sequence. I mean, there was fun lines of dialogue too, even in the exorcism scene, which was really well done with practical effects and as much as practical effects as it possibly could do. It definitely did give me Exorcist 3 vibes. And there was even like a fun moment of levity where one of the cops is watching the exorcism, like the Edgar Ramirez says, we're going to have to perform an exorcism. And let's get ready. We're going to perform the exorcism right now. And I like the cop's reaction. Is like, what the fuck? He's like, what? So I thought that was pretty funny. And there was more than a couple jump scares that really got me. So the people who said there aren't any unique scares, there aren't any scares, I'm sorry. There was one particular scare near the end of the film where, let's just say a lady comes out of fucking nowhere that scared the shit out of me. Definitely did make me jump because I didn't see it coming. I thought they were effective, the scares when they were there, especially the ones that were subtle. I really love the subtle scares, the sequences where, Ralph Sarchie and his partner are going down in the basement with no lights, and that's where there's supposed to be some demonic presence. And, I really like the subtle scares the film does. It really feels like a throwback to older horror films. I also love the fact that it's a cop. It's a New York cop going up against a supernatural element. Um, you don't see that very often. I know you have End of Days and Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I think is another very underrated movie that deals with cop versus supernatural. You have The First Power, Lou Diamond Phillips, which is a great film. But this is more of an actual cop procedural drama mixed with supernatural elements. And I think that might have turned some people off because they found it to be boring or tedious. But if you're looking for just a straight-up jump scare movie, no, Deliver Us from Evil is not a straight-up jump scare movie. If you're one of those people who love Paranormal Activity and you want to see more movies like that, and you're expecting this to be like that, it's not going to be like that. This movie is drama first, horror second. And I think that really helps the horror elements in the film become even more effective because the film does a great job building character development and making you care about these characters, especially Eric Bana. And you learn to like these characters, and you really don't want anything bad to happen to them, so the suspense is increased because of that. And there definitely its fair moments. I think it has its fair share of genuinely scary, creepy moments in the film. It's got a great, dark, gritty, creepy atmosphere that I think works in the film's favor. And, it's got a great cast, supporting cast-wise, as well as all the way down to the leads. I mean, even little tiny bit roles, I thought they did a great job. There wasn't a single actor in this that I could point out and say really sucked. Even the kid actor, even the actress who played Eric Bana's daughter, I thought she did a good job. I mean, I thought the film overall was just a really well-made horror drama. It's, like I said, drama first, horror second, but the horror that is there is effective, mainly because the film does take its time to build up the drama. It does take its time to build up the characters so that the horror sequences are a lot more effective. So, yeah, and I love the fact that it was a male lead. It was a male cop going up against a supernatural element. And it was nice to see that again. I hadn't seen that in a while. So that was a nice, refreshing element to see in a horror film. So, Yeah, is it one of the scariest movies ever seen? No. But it definitely did leave me thinking afterwards. It definitely did stick in my head. So that must mean that, something. There were definitely some imagery in the film that definitely I will remember. For example, a cat that's crucified, that definitely did stick with me, or a crucifix which is around a dog's neck, which is part Jesus, it's Jesus, and then the bottom is, Satan's hooves, which I thought was really creepy and unsettling, and a nice little subtle bit of horror. And so yeah, and the music, some of the music I could listen to, and it definitely creeped me out. The scene in the bedroom with the little girl where she keeps hearing scratching out, and just hearing scratching noises in her bedroom, and I thought that was pretty creepy. So yeah, there was a lot of, I thought, really understated but really excellent, well done scares in this film, and just some really great performances. I thought Eric Bana did a knockout job as the lead, as Ralph Sarchie in this. And it even had some decent chases and so a little bit of, like the knife fight near the end, which is good. And yeah, was it completely unpredictable? No. But the thing was, it was somewhat derivative or cliched, but these cliches were done right. And that's the big thing. They were done right here. They were not, done terribly. I think, so what if it's a cliche? If something like this is done right, it's done right. And I think Deliver Us from Evil really did deliver the goods. So I really don't know what to say about the film because I didn't want to give too much away, except it was rated out of 5 stars. I want to give it 4.5 out of 5. Same rating give for ABC's The Deaf 2. Both these movies really surprised me when it comes to the horror genre this year. So that was a really big welcome surprise, was this movie as well as ABC's The Deaf 2. And why do I not give it 5 stars? Well, because there were some moments for me personally that kind of dragged a teensy bit. But it didn't really affect the overall enjoyment of the film for me. It's just there were moments where it kind of dragged a little bit. Because it is almost a 2 hour long film. But other than that, I really enjoyed the film. I really loved it. I loved it. I thought it was one of the better films I've seen this year. I think if it does sound interesting to you, check it out. Um, I think it's worth at least one look, especially if you're a fan of horror. Just don't expect a jump scare every 5 minutes type movie, or it's not that type of film. It's more of a slow burn. And I think if you can appreciate the slow burn or the slow build of the horror mixed with the drama elements, I think you might enjoy the film. So I really don't know what to say about Deliver Us from Evil, except thank you for watching my review, and I will see you guys later. See ya.